Joining me now is Amanda Zawalski, who sued the state of Texas after she nearly died when doctors delayed giving her a necessary abortion after suffering a miscarriage. The Texas Supreme Court rejected her challenge. Glad to have you here, Amanda. Just first of all, how are you feeling as we approach this anniversary?
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. That's a complicated question. You know, there are a lot of emotions that I'm feeling right now. I think as I look back over the last 2 years, it's impossible not to feel sad and heartbroken at all of the pain and suffering and chaos that has been unleashed across this country as a result of this decision. But at the same time, I feel really heartened and I feel very motivated because I've been able to see how much this issue is motivating people and galvanizing people. And we're really coming together as a nation to fix it. And, you know, that brings me a lot of hope.
Can you, based on your experience, talk about how high, how huge the stakes are here?
Oh my gosh, they're astronomical. I mean, they could not be higher. You know, with everything that's going on in the country and what's happened over the last 2 years, I think we've seen just MAGA Republicans coming after rights and protections and access to health care. This is about our freedoms as Americans, and there's nothing higher, there's no greater stake than our rights as Americans. And so, you know, that's why I've really dedicated the last 2 years to fighting for this, because it couldn't be a more important election.
So the Texas Medical Board adopted guidance yesterday for how to handle exceptions to the state's abortion ban. The guidance now says doctors don't need to wait until a medical emergency is imminent to perform an abortion. But is that enough for the providers, Amanda, to be confident in the law and avoid what happened to you from happening to someone else?
No, I don't think so. The short answer is no. The Texas Medical Board, unfortunately, had the opportunity to really carve out when doctors can provide health care and to really provide clarity so that doctors felt that they could provide medicine and provide health care with confidence and not have to be scared of whether our Attorney General is going to hunt them down and put them in jail. Unfortunately, the Texas Medical Board didn't really do that. The regulations really don't help at all. And we heard that from many, many physicians in the meetings with public comment. So, you know, they just really didn't do what they needed to do. And it's unfortunate.
So organizers in Montana, they've gathered enough signatures now to put an amendment proposal on the November ballot enshrining abortion rights in that state's constitution. Similar amendments could appear on ballots in another 10 states. So how big an impact do you think the abortion issue will have on the election?
You know, I think it's really incredible that people are working together and fighting to get these ballot measures on the ballot. But I think what we need to keep top of mind here is that if Trump is reelected in November, as exciting as those measures are, it doesn't mean anything because he has said that he will impose a national abortion ban, and that will supersede any sort of state protections. And so I think we need to think about how this is mobilizing people and be proud of that and be excited that people are motivated by this issue. But we also need to keep in mind that if Trump is reelected, unfortunately, no one's going to be safe in any state.
You've been traveling the country. You've been sharing your story with people one-on-one. I've seen you on television, and I imagine it's pretty hard to be so public about such a private, difficult time. I've seen you on television when you've been reduced pretty close to, if not to tears. Why do you do it? What's the hardest part about this?
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that because it is difficult. But, you know, every time I speak out or I go to a rally or I attend a campaign event, I'm just surrounded by people who have stories like mine. And when I talk about what happened to me, I recognize that I'm not just telling my story. I'm telling the story of so many people across the country who have either been through something like me, or they know someone who has, or they're scared that they're going to. And these stories are critical. They're so important for people to hear. And so I know that I'm fighting not just for myself, but also for all of my fellow Americans. And, that's what keeps me going. It's hard, it's exhausting, but it also is really motivating. And I take it very, very seriously.
Amanda, do you ever get a chance to speak with somebody whom at first is going to hold an adversarial view to what you're trying to accomplish, and you find that by the end of your discussion, they may have come around?
Yes, it happens all the time. Unfortunately, the word abortion is still pretty stigmatizing. It's still pretty polarizing. I think we've made a lot of progress over the last couple of years, but it's still a polarizing term. When I speak to folks and I tell them specifically about what happened to me or about some of the people I've met as I've been doing this work, it really changes hearts and minds. I'm hopeful that it will change votes in November, but that's what we're seeing is when people hear these personal stories and when they see a person, an actual person who has been harmed by these bans and these laws, that's when they start to put the pieces together and their minds start to change. And so, like I said, that's why I keep having these conversations and I keep telling these stories, because it's what's going to move the needle in November.
Amanda Zurawski, you have my admiration and appreciation for talking to me now. Hope to see you again. Thank you.